Hi everyone, welcome to SAM IELTS YouTube channel. How are you all? I hope that you are fine and you are seriously preparing for the IELTS exam. Well, this channel is dedicated to the IELTS aspirants. The person who really want to settle down in abroad either for work or study should clear this IELTS exam. So it is my advice to clear the IELTS exam in the first attempt itself with your desired band. So here in this YouTube channel, we are providing a lot of information regarding the IELTS. Not only the IELTS, the people who really want to learn the English proficiently also can watch this channel because English is mandatory for any career. Alright, without any further delay, let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is all about the IELTS writing task 2. So, instead of giving you the words that you can actually use in the IELTS writing task 2, I am going to describe here the words not to use that in the IELTS writing task 2. Well, what are these words? Since I have been working as an IELTS tutor, I have been reviewing several essays from the students. So, as a British Council certified IELTS tutor, I would sincerely advise the students not to use these words in the IELTS essay writing, which is writing task 2. So, here are a few words that I want to tell to everybody. These are all not formal words, so never use in the IELTS writing task 2. Alright, what are these words? Without further delay, let's get into this. First, in the nutshell. In the nutshell is a very common word that can be used in the conversation. For example, if you are going for the IELTS speaking part 2, if you want to conclude your answer, of course you can use the word in the nutshell. It is a very conversational word, so you cannot use this word in the IELTS writing task 2. Instead, you can write in conclusion. To conclude. These are all the formal words that you can use in the IELTS writing task 2. Well, what is the next word? A couple of countries. I have seen several people writing this example, a couple of countries. Please don't use the word couple of countries because the couple of countries is just a conversational words. If you want to speak on regarding the countries or anything, you can mention many countries, several countries. These are all called as the formal words. So try to use only the formal words in the IELTS writing task 2. Alright, what is the next word? Kind of. I have seen this word, I don't know, so many students use this word, a kind of. This is not at all a formal word. Instead, it is a completely colloquial word. So, I sincerely advise not to write these kind of words in the IELTS writing task 2, which would actually drastically reduce your marks. So, never use the word a kind of. If you want to use this word still, you can use the word somewhat. Somewhat. That word you can use instead of this word, which will actually fetch you more marks. But in my opinion, I would say that don't use somewhat also. So don't use a kind of or somewhat in the IELTS writing. Of course, you can use these words in the IELTS speaking, which would actually increase your marks multifold. What is the next word? Word I want to discuss here is called as the kids. Kids. So while you are doing the paraphrasing or something when you are writing related to the children, you can actually use these words kids. Please do remember, kids is not a formal word, it is an informal word. So if you want to really find the synonyms for the children, you can use youth, young learners, students, learners, these are all the synonyms. However, please try to avoid the word kids in the writing essay task 2. Do you understand? So while using the synonyms also, you should be careful which word to use and which word not to use in the IELTS writing. Always try to stick on into only the formal words. Never try to stick on into the informal words. Alright, without further delay, let's continue the next. The next set of words which I want to use here is that never use an abbreviation or any short form in the IELTS writing task 2. For example, a phone. A phone. This is not at all a formal word. Instead, you need to use a telephone. A university, you need to write in a full form. So, never try to use UNIE, something of short forms which would yield you very, very poor marks. So, never try to use the abbreviations in the IELTS writing since it is a complete formal line. Well, the other examples for the short forms are a photo. It is not photo, it is photograph. Photo is a normal colloquial word that you can use in the conversation. However, in the written conversation, you need to insist that it is a photograph. So please do insist on the photograph. Info. This I have seen plenty of times, the word info. Info. So info is not at all a full word. It is called as an information. Information. It is not info. So please do understand, never ever use this word info in the IELTS writing task 2. ASAP. I don't know where this comes from. I believe this is all coming from the internet. ASAP is not at all a word that can be used in the IELTS writing task 2. Even I feel this is not as a conversational language also. You cannot say to the examiner that ASAP. No. As soon as possible. If you want to insist as soon as possible, please stretch it out very clearly. Write as soon as possible. Also, if you want to really use this word in the IELTS speaking, please say as soon as possible. Never try to speak to the examiner ASAP because it will drastically reduce your marks. Also, this is not at all formal. It will degrade your English drastically. So, never try to use any abbreviations in your IELTS writing task 2 which would drastically reduce your marks. Also, the other words you need to avoid, right? So on. So on. Please don't use this word. It is not at all a recommended word in the IELTS writing. So, don't use the word so on, etc, etc. Please don't use this word. These are all not at all recommended words for the IELTS writing task 2. So, never use these words. What I would suggest you is that take a piece of paper and pen and note down all these words. Try to not use these words in the IELTS writing. While doing the practice session, you can actually self-evaluate yourself whether you have used this word or not. I strongly recommend that self-evaluation for the IELTS writing is not at all advisable. So I would rather advise you to take the help of the IELTS tutor, certified IELTS tutor, so that your writing score will be increased multifolded. Alright, let's get on into the other set of words. Alright, the other set of words is that at the end of the day, I don't know what is the meaning here in the IELTS writing. At the end of the day, it is not at all an advisable word. Never use this word at the end of the day. So, you are not going to give anything, right? So, never use this word at the end of the day. I don't have any specific word for this because I strongly feel that this word cannot be written and I don't have any synonyms for this. So, don't use this word. This is completely conversational word. To get out of hand. I don't know, most of the IELTS aspirants use this thing, to get out of hand, which means out of control. You can actually use the word out of control in order to explain the situation. Something is not controllable. However, you cannot use this phrasal verbs. These are called as the phrasal verbs. To get out of hand. This phrasal verb actually you can use in the IELTS speaking. However, in the IELTS writing, please don't use this kind of words which would reduce your marks drastically. So, my sincere advice is that not to use any idioms and phrases. It's not my cup of tea. It's a piece of cake. Never try to use these words. It is called as the phrasal verbs. Remember the short forms, the abbreviations, the phrasal verbs, which is not at all advised or recommended in the IELTS essay writing. Not only in essay writing, in the writing task 1, whether it may be a report writing or whether it may be a letter writing, never try to use these kind of words. It would actually drastically reduce your marks. Alright, the next few words that I want to discuss here is that get, receive. She get a prize. She received a prize. So, think one word actually changed the entire tone of the statement. So, try to use these receive kind of words to increase the tone of the line, which will drastically gives you the marks. Please do remember, even one word change will actually gives you a lot of marks. So, instead of using the common very simple words such as get or very important, please don't use the word very important. You can actually use the word extremely significant. Instead of very important, you can use the word extremely significant. Try to use these kind of words so that the examiner will get impressed with your formal language in the IELTS writing task 2. Of course, this formal writing in the IELTS writing task 2 will be actually accessed in one of the marking criteria. So, always please try to use only the formal words. The other important words that I want to discuss here are Bad. See, don't use the bad in the writing. It is poor. P-O-O-R, poor. So, never try to use the word bad. Instead, you can write the word poor. Big. Big is not a very bad word. However, I am strongly insisting you to use these kind of words in the conversational language or in the IELTS speaking exam. Instead of writing, you need to use the word huge, giant. You can use these words. So, synonyms actually replaced by very good word which will yield you more marks in the IELTS writing. Alright, as I mentioned you, I want you to avoid the phrasal verbs. For example, a couple of researchers. I don't know what it is. What do you call a couple of researchers? Several researchers or many researchers. Be formal. Okay, it is not you writing to the exam to the next student. You are writing to the examiner, to the certified exam people or the certified exam trainer. So, you are supposed to use only the word called as several, many. Instead of using a couple of researchers, you can use many researchers. You can use the word several researchers. This would actually help you, very much in getting the marks. Look at, what is it? Look at is not at all a good word. You can actually use the word examine. Examine. So, try to use these kind of words which would actually impress the examiner. See, IELTS is the international exam, so you need to actually impress the exam as well as you need to write according to the native language speakers. Please do understand, native speakers, how they will use only formal in the writing. The same way the examiner expects you to write only the formal language, not to use any conversational language. The words which I had described above is not at all a wrong word. It is not any bad word or wrong word. Remember, these words will not yield you marks in the IELTS writing since this is completely a formal exam. However, you can use these words in daily conversations as well as in the IELTS speaking test so that your marks will be increased. So, you need to understand, speaking and writing are entirely different in the IELTS exam. By this thing, I need to conclude that in the speaking, you try to use a lot of conversational language, phrasal verbs, idioms, as well as abbreviations. I also don't want to use to abbreviation. However, the phrasal verbs, the idioms, anything you can actually use to the daily conversations can be used in the IELTS speaking. On the other hand, the writing is entirely formal. So, never try to use any kind of conversational language into the writing language which will drastically reduce your marks. So, I hope I have given a set of words that you are not allowed to use in the IELTS writing, either in task 1 or in task 2. So, hope you get a lot of information from this video. If you really like this video, please like, share and subscribe to us. Also, please never forget us to follow us in the Telegram or in the Instagram so that you are actually getting a lot of daily source regarding to the IELTS. So, thank you so much for the watching. Thank you.